We got a fun episode today. We got this exhaust going on this Navi. So this is the hot lap full exhaust pipe for the Navi. These come actually straight from Japan, so if you order one, expect it to probably take a couple of months. But you can tell from looking at this is really high quality stuff. It's not a slip-on, it replaces everything. So let's get into it. First thing we've got is a 10mm socket on the left side of the bike. We got to get this one off. All right, and then we've got one on the same place on the other side. Another 10mm here. And then the last one for this air box, we think, is right up here, and this is a 12mm. Okay, now this box just pulls out. We got this box out of the way. What are we doing now? 3 Phillips screws.
Got little tiny fingers.
That's good. You got beautiful nails right now too.
Oh, thank you.
You said there's another one up here somewhere?
Yeah, right up here.
Cool. So we're trying to get this little piece of plastic out, right? Alright, that just kind of pops out. Now we've got this cover off. Pretty hard to see, but we've got 2 little shiny like bolt caps in there that need to come off, and I think those are the ones that are holding the exhaust on. So these bolts here are using the sacred 10mm socket. What is this? This is like the wheel cover
fender?
The rear fender.
Yeah.
We're going to take that off. We get a 10mm socket there. So now we've got the fender bolt out here. Next bolt we're going for is this one right here. It's just kind of holding the muffler on. And that's what size is that?
14. And then now we got the one down here.
So we've got another 14mm bolt holding sort of the bottom of the muffler on. This one's easy to find if you look for the dipstick. It's the first bolt you'll see under the dipstick. Oh shit! Alright. So when you take that last bolt out, that drops the whole thing, it looks like. There she goes. Alright. There's the old original exhaust.
These are all 10mm, and then this one is also a 10mm, and there's one back here.
Yeah. So the first one's probably the hardest to get to. It's at the far front of the fender, I guess it is. And that's a 14 or 10?
This is 10.
So that one's a 10mm. These are all 10mm holding the rest of this fender on. We got another 10mm here. And the last one is this bracket. So that gets the fender off of there.
Make it.
Yeah, a couple of 10mm bolts to take this bracket off.
Oh, strong screw. All right.
The old exhaust actually mounts to the fender,
Yeah.
and so that connection kind of gives it a little stability. So if you're taking the old exhaust off, it sounds like it's best to take the fender off, because with the new exhaust, this part of the fender is not going to be mounted to anything, so it's just going to be kind of loose. So from the old muffler, the old exhaust, we're taking that gasket. So here's the instructions. Let's see. I think what we're going to do first is attach this pipe to the engine. I'm going to put this gasket on, so that gasket's going to set right on there. I'm going to use the original bolts, and let's see if we can get in there. So what you'll need to do is pass this part through, right in, there's a gap right where the center stand is. Lost the gasket, lost the gasket. It's impossible. So
That's gonna be interesting.
Whoop, there goes the gasket. All right.
See the 2 bolts.
Got it. Is it on?
It's on, yeah.
I'm holding this up with one hand, and while I try to get my nuts up here. And there we go. There's one nut. And so I'm going to put these on. I'm going to leave a little bit of slack. I'm not going to tighten these up all the way. I'm going to leave a little bit, enough so that the gasket won't fall out. Get my other nut. Alright, so it's still got enough room to wiggle it around so we can come back and tighten them up later. Okay, so we're going to put this piece on next. Slip it right over here. And a way you could tell to make sure you've got the direction right is to look at these are where springs are going to attach. So you can look at this spring attachment point and then the spring attachment point over the top of it, and as long as those are next to each other or aligned, then you know you're good to go. This piece goes right here, and then again it's got these 2 spring attachment hooks, so if you make sure those are kind of lined up there, you know you've got it right. So we've got to get this bracket put on first, and if you can see here, the bracket's got a couple points it's going to attach to, and then the muffler clamp is going to attach there. So to make this a little easier, we're actually going to take this muffler off
And throw it in the woods.
if you could set that very gently somewhere. Alright, so it looks like we're thinking that the muffler clamp is going to attach to this outside part. So we're going to take this nut out for now. And I think I'll do that before I get this thing attached. So I think we're going to get this bracket mounted on, and then we'll try to figure out which side that clamp is supposed to go on. Could go on the outside or the inside, so we'll see which one looks like a better fit. Okay, so the way this bracket's going to go is going to attach here. It's going to attach just like that. So they give you this bolt with the kit. So we're going to attach this bolt here. This is an 8mm hex head, but I'm not going to tighten it. I'm just going to leave it kind of loose. And then now we're gonna have to get this bolt out and replace it with this one that came in the kit.
Action.
Okay, so this is an 8mm. And then we have this bolt to replace that. So this bolt's a little longer than the stock bolt, so it can accommodate the width of that bracket. This is a 5mm hex head. So just leave a little bit of slack in there. We're thinking that this clamp is going to go basically right in between here. So there's a rubber, kind of like a little rubber bushing there, and then a metal washer. We're going to try and get it in between there. Let's see if that looks right. This bolt is going to come out. And I'm going to slip this muffler over again. That looks about right for being lined up. And then we can come back here. So we're going to put one washer on. We're going to go through both parts of the clamp. And we're going to go into this. Alright, and then in the back here, try and get this washer on and get that nut put on top of it. And it's pretty tight, but that's good. That clamp needs to be tight. So at this point, we want to start looking at lining everything up, making sure we've got everything aligned properly before we start putting springs on and tightening things down. So I'm just kind of looking here, make sure the spring attachments are lined up right. And I'm thinking what we should do next is probably put the springs on. Before we tighten everything up, we've got these 3 springs, and we're gonna do one spring here, one spring here, and the third one is going to go here. Alright, so we're going to hook it over the top. I'm going to use this little tool. So hopefully I can do this without impaling myself with this pick. Oh!
Oh
In
no!
the face!
Oh, right in the face. Alright, so I'm going to recommend you wear your helmet when you're doing this. Okay, so lesson learned there is hold this down while you're pulling this part in. There we go, that's a lot better. Okay, so using our previous lesson, we're going to hold the top. See if I could do this without losing an eye. On the top. Hold that. This is really hard to angle. Here, swap places. Okay.
The hardest part.
That. Oh, that was the easiest of them. Look at that. All right, there's all the springs put on. So now I think our next thing we want to do is kind of make sure everything lines up properly and start tightening things down. I think the place I want to start is on the header where the 2 bolts are underneath. So I think I'm going to tighten those up first. What do you think?
Yep, sounds good.
All right. So we get these 10mm bolts on the bottom, and that side's nice and tight. This one, I think we're about there. Alright, so both of those are nice and tight. So I think next I'm going to get this bracket tightened up. I'm going to start with this 5mm. That kind of tightened up. And try to get them tightened down just a little bit more. And work on the other one that's an 8mm. I'll get them as tight as I can with this. It's pretty tight. Got a little more tight on that one. So the last part really is just getting this muffler clamp on there and getting that tightened down. So I want to make sure this is nice and perpendicular to the muffler before I tighten that part down. In other words, I don't want this clamp to be like up here or down there. I want it to be kind of nice and centered. It's a little bigger than 10. Okay, so this one, the bolt on the back is the 12mm. So you got a 6mm hex and a 12mm bolt on the back. Just kind of eyeing it up before I tighten it down too much. Looks like it's in good position. So I guess we have to put this back on. You got any duct tape?
No.
Alright. Tight. Alright. Alright, this is a 12mm. Alright, there's your storage box.
Ooh, that's nice.
Alright, so we are all done. Get
Kickstart.
that new hot lap exhaust on. So right now we've got the silencer still in there. So we're going to fire it up with the silencer in, and then we'll try taking that silencer out and see what the difference is. Alright, so to get the silencer out there is a 10mm wrench. You basically just pull that out.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah.
Alright, we'll see if it sounds any different. I don't know. Yeah, I think this thing looks really so much better without the rear fender on.
Okay. Start.
Clean now, get that chrome. Alright, so we've got our hot lap exhaust on the Navi. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more stuff like this, subscribe.